Nope, this one actually is not on a bike. Ah, the city. No, fuck that. New York City. It's an absolute microcosm of wealth disparities and income gaps, and I could go from being among the absolute poorest, hard-up people in the tri-state area to being among the most posh, wasteful, richest people in the fucking world. And that's all within a 35-minute commute. It's actually somewhat poetic. If this poem in question is a shitty, sad one that leaves you feeling like you were cheated out of a coveted silver spoon. Anyway, New York City is a fantastic place to be, and it serves as the city of all cities in the world because it's so iconic, full of culture, landmarks, and bodegas with Spanish music blasting. And Tim's. Yeah, I said it. Yo, bring him out, it's getting cold. Fuck. Say something motorcycle related. Right, so on a motorcycle, New York City becomes something a little different. It's a blessing and a curse, to be frank, because nothing is without trade-offs. The great thing about motovlogging in New York City altogether is that you practically get another character to display on your channel. Meaning, it always tends to be something fairly interesting to look at or interactions that might make the viewer laugh, etc. And this is all on top of your personality and whatever you're doing or saying in the video. Contrast this with vloggers who just kind of sit on the highway for like 8 minutes and all you get to see is some trees, the sun, and a legion of fucking Midwestern Camrys with factory grade paint and Trump stickers. I mean, let's be real here, right? Some vloggers I watch, I just, just listen to it in another tab while I get wrecked on Battlefield 1 at home, or I just put the phone in my pocket while I pretend to give a shit at work. Just isn't much to look at. Still love you though. While New York City has its perks and the attention grabbing factor over many other locations, it has its shitty parts, and I'm talking diuretically shitty, bro. These things that I'm about to list are probably true of most other major metropolises in the United States and maybe even around the world, but I just happen to live in this one, so I'm speaking in terms of New York City. If you observe any of these things in your city, then you can relate to this, but there might be 1 or 2 New York City specific ones here, okay? So NYC, I love you, but I'm about to air you out, bro, because this is 7 reasons riding in the city sucks. Number 1. Traffic. Any list about practically anything New York City related wouldn't be complete without mentioning the absolute appalling level of traffic. At certain times, the roads are as dense as a lead brick or the head of a self-righteous YouTube commenter. Same density. Rush hour is a fucking ironic name for these times because there is nothing fast about it. You basically have to consider how heavily traffic will hit you when planning a commute and find out alternative routes that will help make your travel quicker, because even if it's not an optimal route on paper, it helps to consider traffic density in relation to traffic lights. There's many roads that are poorly designed that lights may be way too long or even way too short. I swear I'm still tweaking my daily commute to save time. The best times to ride in the city are usually very early when the sun is barely out and people are at home just making coffee. When you add the factor of hot weather, things get really shitty for both bike and rider. During the heat wave of last year, before my commute, I would do everything like pack my bag, warm up my bike, groom myself, and then hop in the shower so I could practically walk from my bathroom to my bike uninterrupted to ride while damp so I could stay cool. Get ready to get real acquainted with the back of that Camry stuck in front of you. Unless you lane split. No legal lane splitting. But see, that's the fucking thing. You have a choice to make, don't you, you fucking biker loser? You want to sit there and lose 10 pounds of water weight, huh? You want to sit there and make sure your radiator fan works overtime, then your clutch hand starts cramping up, you gotta turn off the bike, or you could just go around the cars, and then you risk getting slapped with a ticket. And y'all know how the NYPD likes to make those little checkpoints sometimes, so they can solely catch bikers doing lane splits. Look, people are just kind of ignorant of bike shit, and it just so happens that we are a minority on these roads. You got the jealous car drivers who are like, nuh-uh, doing the riding in between car things is dangerous. Nope. Most do it in moderation and watch their speed. And look, I even said it in the last video. If you lane split at 100 miles per hour, man, that's your choice. I ain't doing it. But I'm just concerned with staying in motion, even if I'm crawling along at 15 miles per hour to the front of the line. In my experience, most cops are cool or turn a blind eye to safe lane splitting. Most. Crazy thing is, in this video, whatever, but still, it is not legal, and out here is something you do at your own risk, because all it takes is one cop having a bad day to flash you, at which point you got some real fast choices to make, pun intended. Number 3, speed limit and cameras. Speaking of speed, and this is for my fellow riders of sporty bikes. You ever just kind of take off out of a parking lot or from a light and shift in a second, but then you look down and somehow you're already going 40? One of those, oh shit! You look back to see if you passed not a cop, but a camera. You reel in the speed and remember where the fuck you are. I swear this shit is like the game Watch Dogs, all these fucking Big Brother cameras. Problem is I can't go all Aiden Pierce on those shits. I'm not even a fan of doing breakneck speeds on local roads and all, but like shit man, the speed limit recently dropped from like 5 miles per hour from 30 to 25 back in 2014. I wasn't really on the road back then apart from driving other people's cars. I started biking back in 2015. The cameras are tuned to auto ticket you for your speed if you exceed it by 11 miles per hour. These cameras being slapped all over the fucking place have a special spot in my heart because I kid you not, I've been ticketed no less than 4 times by the same camera over the period of 2 years. And not because I'm purposely speeding or anything, it's just that as a pimply 19-year-old and even now, 36 miles per hour on an empty road does not feel like speeding. And this is strictly for speed cameras made to hit you at 36 miles per hour, not red light cams. I don't run red lights. Legit, even if I'm speeding past the cop by like 10 miles per hour, I'm never worried, but I'll be damned if I get hit with another $50 camera ticket. Fuck you, dude. There just ain't many places to floor it without traffic, and if you ever do give it to beans even for a brief second to get a cushion from the traffic behind you, you better hope it ain't in front of a camera. Number 4, parking a bike / bike theft. Let's talk about the good cameras. Well, first let's talk about the love-hate relationship of parking a motorcycle in the city. It's no secret that parking a motorcycle or finding parking for one is 200 times easier than it is for a car. You're driving a 2-wheeled super thin vehicle that, hell, you could even pick that bitch up and move it around if need be. Side story actually. Remember I was in downtown Brooklyn with my old Honda Rebel? I parked the bike to go into a bank to withdraw some money to waste on things like hookers and blow. Anyway, I leave the bank and oh, look at that. Oh, a big ass grocery truck completely blocks my bike by double parking in the street. You know what I did? No biggie. Just angled the bike, lifted the back tire, moved it over the curb, and then heave-hoed the front tire as I rolled it up on a sidewalk curb. And I was out of there. You can squeeze into fairly small places, and if you're in a more residential area, you can just throw that shit on the sidewalk. However, there's a dark side to all this. That's the problem of thefts and hit and runs. See, let's face it, motorcycles are 200 times easier to steal than a car. And then cities have higher rates of bike theft than non-metropolitan areas, so every time you go to park your metal horse, you gotta wonder if some bloke will decide and come and walk off with your shit. We take precautions for this and that. We throw disc locks, alarms, chains, brake lever locks, etc. for when we have to leave the bike on the street. Hell, a simple cover alone is a good deterrent for a would-be thief. I mean, think about it. You're a thief, right? You listen to trap remixes of pop songs. You have a wallet chain. You got a pack of Camels in your shirt pocket. The last meal you had is displayed prominently via stains on your pants crotch and the crust in the corner of your mouth. Right? Yeah. And you see a tricolor Panigale. Oh man. So you weigh the risk and then you call your boy with the pedo van. However, if the bike is sufficiently covered, and it could be anything from a shitty mid-80s oil leaker to something a little bit more valuable, then the initial attraction isn't there and it can't be made. Remember when I mentioned good cameras? I try to put my bike in corners when I'm in unknown areas just so the surveillance cameras can get a good old shot on a possible thief. It also helps in terms of hidden runners, get someone's face and plate if they decide to life alert your bike and then hightail it. Fucking jerks.
I'm falling and I can't get up.
I had a bike stolen. I don't play games with that shit anymore. Even my broken down, rusty, barely running, unroadworthy old YZF was stolen right off the street. It was a nice reality check to trust no one, even with your trash. Number 5, insurance. On the same topic, because of shit like this, insurance tends to be kind of higher, especially for valuable bikes in high crime areas. Factoring in other things like home ownership and the ability to store the bike indoors, insurance is going to be a bit higher in the metropolis. It was an obvious choice to spring for full coverage, and I sleep easy knowing I've paid my insurance in full. Still, insurance on bikes tend to be much cheaper than the car still, so I guess that's a good way to look at it. Number 6, roads. I addressed this in the last video, so let me just cut and paste that into this one, because do I really want to talk about this again? Our roads, they're dog shit. They're like steamrolled dog dukers. And thus, there's times where you just gotta jump on your pegs like you're about to commit the dankest wheelie to ever hit the YouTubes. Sometimes you gotta do it for a goddamn motherfucking half mile before you start to wonder where the fuck your tax money is even going, cause it ain't going to these goddamn pre-teenage acne-ridden roads. And then you have to adjust your goddamn mirrors 6,000 times because the mother... It's really bad, to be honest. Like, it's not even just the hood, it's even bad in financial districts. To be honest, it's only really a matter of time before I crack a fucking wheel on these potholes. No, sinkholes. And the thing is, they then proceed to fill the valley so poorly that they instead become bumps. Cabs. You know what it is when it comes to cabs, man. Avoid these guys at all costs. And if you can't, keep a fucking eye on them. They won't hesitate to fly across 2 lanes of traffic or cut people off with just a horn tap. And if they see someone on the sidewalk, desperate face, hand raised, and presenting pit stains, then you can almost expect it. And then there's a time for the pit stain fuck to leave the cab, and someone hesitates to introduce you to a third method of stopping in their unawareness. See, there's 3 different tiers of cab. No, there's 4 tiers. Technically. Let's break them down. Uber and Lyft drivers. In my experience, they aren't too bad, and honestly, they aren't really the drivers I'm referencing here. The saving grace of riding around Uber drivers is that they are either driving a client around or they are on the way to pick up a single specified client, as opposed to the next few types that actively are paying about as much attention to the sidewalk for clients as they are to the road and what's on it. Number 2, yellow and green cabs. These cabs are synonymous with New York City and are honestly only really found in bulk in Manhattan. You'll see a couple in downtown Brooklyn. You won't find these in the hood though. They're a bit dangerous, but have experience on the roads of Manhattan that are as congested as my nose in April. They're actively looking for fares, but they do okay in looking around for things on the road. Not the best, but not the worst. See, then you have the drivers for local cheap cab services, and these guys are all in competition with the next service, so the driving tends to be very fucking aggressive when it comes to looking for fares. They tend to drive old 90s Panther body cars, town cars, Crown Vics, Mercury Marquis, the types. They're usually found in residential and shopping areas of NYC. And as a bonus, they drive Crown Vics, so you may mistake a gray or a black one for an undercover cop, and vice versa. So, that's always fucking fun, right? And last but not least, dollar vans. Ugh. If you're from Brooklyn specifically, you don't need me to say anything else. Where do I start, man? First off, as the name suggests, they drive these big ass doofy fucking vans that range from a standard Econoline van all the way up to basically like these Ford shuttle buses. And what is consistent is that they drive like absolute fucking morons to make bucks.
Fucking dollar vans. Scum of the earth. Trash moving.
There's so many of them on certain major Brooklyn roads at any given time that it makes passing on the right an absolute no-no. Flatbush Avenue, for example, is a fucking war zone. Think of an unregulated, overfilled, cheap, fast bus line and you have a dollar van route. There aren't really concrete stops, so they can pull over at any point. My buddy actually got his R6 totaled by one. Do yourself a favor and stay on the left side of these things unless traffic is stopped and it's boxed in. You pay whatever you can and then you hop in. And then the driver says thank you by putting you within an inch of your life while you're packed in like sardines with 7 other people climbing over you to get in and out. What an experience, right? Still, despite all this, I still got love for the city as always. It's a pleasure to live here. But shit, I guess some say it isn't really love unless they've tried to kill you a couple times, right? I don't know. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. I don't do these style videos very often, but if people actually fuck with these, then I can do them a little bit more frequently. After you drop that like, maybe leave a comment where you live, and whether or not you live in a city, doesn't matter, because I love to hear if these things go down where you live. And lastly, if you ain't subbed, hey man, it's free. That was 7 reasons rotting in the city sucks. And you just watched the illustrator. Stay ill, my friends.